Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Summit 3 European Phase 1, the pre-qualifier. We've got the second half of the opening round. The single elim continues today. First up on the docket, Virtus.Pro Classic versus Meepwn'd. I'm Zyori, joined again by Kotlguy today. We're going to jump right into the draft as this one's going by quickly. But Kotlguy, how you feeling today, good sir?
I'm good. Just woke up not that long ago, so getting ready to feel refreshed and ready for another day of some heavy impacts and some action-packed Dota.
Oh yeah, heavy impact indeed. It's also Parker's birthday today, so we have that to look forward to this evening after we're finished casting. Woohoo!
Yay! Happy birthday, dude.
Yay! Happy birthday, Parker. I think he's asleep right now, so he's celebrating hard. He's going ham. All right, so game number one, Meepwn'd versus Virtus.Pro Classic. This is an interesting matchup, and I'm going to be honest with you, Dakota. I don't think I've ever had the privilege of actually casting Meepwn'd, at least not in their current form since Exist has joined the roster. I'm excited. I'm not really sure who the favorites are coming into this one.
Yeah, I'm probably the same with you. I haven't really casted Meepwn'd since their first come together when they had like Sing Sing on the crew and stuff, and even Excalibur, I believe, at the time. But they've changed it up quite a bit, and yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to really say who's coming in the favorites in this one. I probably put a slight nod towards Virtus.Pro because they've, well, been a bit more stable as of recent.
Well, Dota 2 Lounge agrees with you. 54% in favor of Virtus.Pro, so still pretty close to one of those kind of coin flip matchups. But let's talk about this draft a little bit. Boy, these teams know what they want, yet to break into the reserve time. Well, Meepwn'd will break that trend here with their fourth pick. They grab Ember Spirit and Witch Doctor with their first two, while Virtus.Pro first pick the Wisp, second pick the Spirit Breaker that we've seen oh so often. Now I'm quite curious what Virtus.Pro have in mind to partner with that Wisp. I don't think it's going to be the Spirit Breaker, but time will tell. Meepwn'd have banned out the Morphling as well as the Storm Spirit, two great Wisp partners, but still that classic Tiny in the pool. VP Classic rather have banned out the Bristleback as well as the Clockwork. So that opens up for the Tide Hunter here, third pick from Meepwn'd.
You know, big team impact. Not a lot of teams are really getting on the Tide Hunter hype train anymore. It's good to have something like Witch Doctor when going against the IO, of course, with reliable lockdown and stun between whoever he's targeted with, but not a lot of lockdown from the side of Virtus.Pro. I'm loving the bit of global there with the Wisp and the Spirit Breaker, but you need someone to help out someone like Skywrath Mage. He's got the early game covered with the zoning and bodyguarding, especially going against the offlaner, but later on when it gets to the mid game and you're trying to delete a hero with the Mystic Flare Ultimate, you're going to need someone to kind of hold them in their place. So this is now putting them into a position where they're going to need some more cores who also have a bit of disable in their favor.
Yeah, I'm still curious how they'll round out this draft. This is a very open-ended draft that's got some interesting core heroes. We haven't really seen the cohesion yet. The Meepwn'd draft is starting to come together, though. You've got the Ravage there to get things set up. You've got your big old Death Ward to follow up. Then Earthshake can come in with that Ground Pound, Base and Tremble, drop some damage. I see the team fight synergy for Meepwn'd there, but Virtus.Pro, keep it interesting. There's that Lina pick. You know, we saw an Lina pick yesterday, and it actually worked quite well.
Yeah, Lena's slowly making her way back into the groove, and it's nice to see, you know, just her come into action. But she's kind of squishy. Spirit Breakers are only frontliner, but I personally did ask for something with a little bit more lockdown. Lena's there. LSA is not the easiest thing to land, but once you're able to get a Yule's in her pocket, things become a bit more simple. And, well, Laguna Blade with its nice recent buffs. Agnum seems to be a top candidate grab, and regardless of BKB or not, she's going to be blasting the high hell out of you. Flame Guard, cool build you got there, but Laguna Blade's got one up on you. And Earthshaker, I got to tell you what, man, I'm playing him little by little, a little bit more each time, and even the games where I have to be like the Ultra 5 support, I'm the only guy getting the wards and courier, he could still make a big impact in the game. Somehow, some way, you still manage to find to get a Blink Dagger, and Echo Slam has got to be one of the most satisfying abilities in the game to land. It hits you in the balls, man. It feels good. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something when you hit Echo, even if you hit like a creep and no one else, you just feel like you make the biggest impact in the game with it.
Yeah, some of that's probably the sound effects, but you're right. I mean, he's a classic defensive support, very good for setting up long-range initiations with his long poke, given the fissure, and also great at disengaging. You can TP into a tower, break up a fight, and often keep his mid or core alive if he's in the right place at the right time. Final bans come out, and Meepwn'd take out the Anti-Mage. I'm still surprised that this Tiny has been left in the pool. Maybe it's a Spirit Breaker after all that'll be tethered with the Wisp, but it just seems strange because I feel like he doesn't need it. Part of that Wisp power is the taxi service, and Spirit Breaker has his own in the Charge of Darkness. But oh mama, there it is, Meepwn'd picking up the Meepo.
I was gonna be curious and like look up like how many games they've actually. I don't think they. I know that when they first came out, it was banned every time. No surprise that anytime Meepwn'd got to play with any of the players that they had, you weren't going to be seeing a Meepo picked up. But maybe Virtus.Pro slept on it a bit here. I don't think that's a smart choice. These guys can, I mean, especially someone like We can. I mean, he gets a lot of flack obviously for some of the stuff he's done recently, but there's no denying the fact he can play a sick Meepo. So this could be a bit of a risk right here for Virtus.Pro. They better have some way to deal with it. They had already picked up the Earthshaker themselves. You got to consider what the next best option could be, because right now it's a lot of single target. They don't have very much AoE whatsoever. Maybe the Spirit Ball's a Wisp, but Spirit Breaker is like a single focus kind of hero. Lina has LSA, but she's like Laguna Blading and like focus firing one hero. Skywrath Mage.
There's the Tiny.
They get their Tony Wisp, so that will help a bit with an AoE bit of splash, and of course the crit or whatever he's using with his like his Agnums ignores the armor, and that does amplify bits of damage there. And well, they always have their own bit a split push to work on, but they're going to need a way to contain the Meepo at some point.
Yeah, now Tiny is a way to do that. He'll of course get an Aghanims, which means he has some AoE, wave clear, Meepo clear, whatever you want to call it. But I do think Lina's actually decent against Meepo, because even though she's mostly single target, you only have to kill one of those damn miners to finish him off. So if you can catch one of the Meepos with a full rotation, the LSA, the Dragon Slave, and then a Laguna Blade, there's a good chance that Meepo might be dying. So I think they have some tools to deal with him, though. Nothing quite as good as that classic Earthshaker to come in and get all those echoes on all the Meepos. But interesting drafts on both sides. Feels like both teams kind of getting what they want to some degree. Meepo with a great team fighting lineup for the mid game. Weehaw gets his Meepo, and on VP they get Tiny Wisp. They got to first pick the Wisp, last pick the Tiny. I feel like it's not so often that a team will be able to grab Tiny if they don't pick him up in that first couplet, if they do go with the first pick Wisp.
Yeah, I agree with that, but they're going to look to make it work. Currently with Wisp, Virtus.Pro are 2-1, and if you were curious, Meepwn'd, they've played Meepo now 4 times in this patch, and they are currently 1-3. They actually have a losing record with Meepo, so hopefully looking to turn it around here in their matchup against Virtus.Pro. It is just game number 1 of this best of 3, though. We're in a single elimination bracket, however, so the team that does not make it out of this match is going to be done with their Summit 3 road.
Yes, sir. The nature of single elim, not so forgiving, but hey, it does make the format a little bit more interesting as it's all on the line right out of the gate. Let's introduce some rosters here on the Dire side. We've got Meepwn'd, that'll be Hani on the Earthshaker, headed to the off lane at least for now, maybe just blocking off. Tide Hunter, probably headed to the bottom lane as well. WAF, WAF, any idea who this one is, Kotlguy?
That is Simba.
That is Simba, so that's Fly. Okay, great. Then we've got Exist on the Ember Spirit mid, and then that leaves us with Yapzor on the Witch Doctor, and of course Weehaw here on the Meepo, both of which will be up in that safe lane.
Alright, and on Radiant side, we got Virtus.Pro. A bit of a hot and cold history. Sometimes they can bring it up and take down some of the best teams. Sometimes they seem to fall off the radar. But mid lane, we got Jadam, who's going to be playing the Wisp here side by side with G on the Tony. Top lane, we got offlane Sadoy on your Spirit Breaker. And bottom, that is going to leave BZZ on your Lina. And UU apparently on your Skywrath Mage. I'm going to double check and see what his alias could be.
Oh, I should know this. It's Jadam, and who's the other support on VP
Is it
Classic?
NS? Is that one? No.
No, it's not NS.
Hold on, you got Fly in a little bit of trouble here. He's eating a lot of harassment. Arcane Bolt does fly out, and it does use his salve to survive, but now he's down some serious regen.
Yeah, that really hurts. 6 tangos left.
Oh,
there's your first blood.
He steps back. Arcane Bolt just. Simba just, very risky, very risky. This is why every time Skywrath Mage is picked up in a draft, I say he's one of the best bouncers, one of the best zoners in the game, situations like that. And at the same moment, the Spirit Breaker in the other off lane goes down to Meepo.
All right, so both offlaners taking a tumble, but of course Virtus.Pro Classic can get that little edge. They get the first blood goal going the way of their Skywrath Mage. Still pretty even exchange. Looking at the mid lane, it does exist in a 1v2 scenario. So, of course, Tiny is dominating here, 10-2 versus the 4-0 Ember Spirit, but he may well have some support coming his way. Looks like Hani is already just stacking up in the jungle, getting some creeps that he'll be able to retreat to and clear out. Maybe this will just end up going the way of the Meepo, but still finding a lot of efficiency in the jungle. Witch Doctor, what's he working on here? Looks like Radiant have one ward down inside the little entryway to the jungle to see the movements. They do have an easy camp to work with, though, that Witch Doctor could stack up and try and pull to get a little lane control back.
I believe that is Yol, by the way.
Yol,
Someone
that's
did give me the suggestion to check out Dota, you know, in case these teams are obviously making it a bit more difficult for us to find out who they are. Making your Steam profiles private. I see you. I see you there. But if you look at Dota Buff, apparently you can match up their icons to make it work. Unfortunately, Virtus.Pro all have the same icon, or very similar icon. So I had to take it to the next level. It looks like, just by deduction alone, Yol is the one person I was forgetting.
Yeah.
And so Skywrath Mage is Yol.
Okay, very good. So Tidehunter already abandoned this off lane here. He's now moved into the jungle, gets a double damage rune, and just starts working on these stacks that Hani made for him. Nice triple stack, taking out these mud golems. That's some road for recovery for the Tidehunter. That is one of the great things about him as an offlaner is he can farm all sorts of stuff. Ancients, he can kill those mud golems. Anchor Smash really comes in handy in those kind of scenarios. So he'll start to pull ahead of the Spirit Breaker a little bit, although SB having a pretty good time this offlane despite dying already, finding that level 4 and getting a second point in the Charge of Darkness.
Yeah, he's just going to hold tough while he can here and just probably going to chalk up that early kill to a fluke. But for now, he's going to wall him back and away and just continue to get zoned, but he's still going to be able to get close enough for more of that sweet XP. I gotta say, Meepwn'd, they got Hani on this Earthshaker. He's got to be one of the better heroes to have when you're going against this tiny Wisp. Whether they're looking to just simply engage the mid lane on it exists, he'll be right there with a long-range stun to slow them down. As long as he's in the dark, they don't even know when it's a good time to engage. Top lane, I'm seeing a lot of clusters here. They got the net, they got the poofs, they're popping up right now. Right-click, Sadoy's going to be forced to charge at least out and away to the low ground here. Auto-attack will connect, but he does go down to the Maldic.
All right, well, that charge actually could have maybe done something in the mid. It seemed like G was about to fall, but he has a Wisp tether, and perhaps they could have tried to turn something around on Exist if he indeed did charge. But nice play from this Witch Doctor to go for the Maledict build. 1-0-2 here at level 3, so a bit atypical, but we'll hold that thought. Is down bottom now. Hani in some trouble. They find him near the Roche pit. Jotum, as well as Yol, will be able to chase him down, looking for the Ancient Deny, but can't find it. As once more, the Arcane Bolts from that Skywrath Mage prove a bit too pesky, but yeah, anyhow, nice play from the Witch Doctor to go for this build. I saw it a lot at DAC, but really good against these tanky heroes and the elusive ones like this Spirit Breaker. He fits the bill on both accounts. Yeah,
it's a pretty action-packed game already. How things started out there in the bottom rune, Hani trying to park himself inside the Roche pit in the dark, so that when the rune did spawn, he popped out, dropped down the fissure. It did allow him to get the rune, but I believe it was just simply a bounty rune. So at that point, Skywrath just is like, let's go on to him. Wisp was nearby. And obviously, Wisp being the hero he is, he can quickly get to where you're at in a heartbeat, just simply with the tether alone. So he shows up, and they have plenty of bursts to finish off the low-leveled Earthshaker.
Yeah. So Simba still just spending some me time in the jungle here, getting a good bit of it. Whoa, mid lane, some action going to break out onto Exist as G gets aggressive, but Hani's there with a fissure to break it up, separates Tiny and his Wisp buddy, and Virtus.Pro Classic will be forced to back off. Now Exist goes in, onto G, he'll have cooldowns coming up soon. There's the toss, Avalanche in 2, but double Remnant forward. Exist thinking about the aggression here, but not eager to dive the tower. Will back off, just giving G some of those love taps and forcing this Wisp to chew through some of those bottle charges a little more quickly than planned.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good to make sure his bottle's getting taken down a notch, but it's going to be hard to take out Tiny if you're not focusing Wisp. As long as he has some bottle to work with, just the fact of overcharge alone, plus this bottle, you better have plenty of burst there. So it was just clearly for harassment purposes.
Yep. Alright, so now Hani continuing to be the stack master, moving into some Ancients, probably for Fly as well. How's the Meepo farming? Alright, Tango in at the top, number 2/number 1 on net worth, about tied with the Lina, who is farming away in the safe lane. BZZ getting a lot of space himself. He's got phase boots and moving into a Yule's Scepter, it looks like, with that Sage's Mask. Sadoy finds himself an invisibility rune here at the 6-minute mark, just moving around through the mid, looking for a potential opening. Maybe they'll go for a dive here onto Hani or Exist, but now that Exist is level 6, not the easiest target to lock down unless you have a lot of burst damage.
Yeah, kind of similar to how when you have a puck in the mid lane, you better make sure you have the lockdown available, or at least enough burst to get the job finished before they can be too elusive.
Oh,
Same with Storm Spirit.
Smart
but yeah,
play from Sadoy, though. He goes around the backside. You don't see this coming so often exist. He'll get silenced, now charged, not going to be able to scoot away, but the fissure again breaks things up. Zyori already level 6, throws out the Nether Strike. They've got the Lantern for that last little bit of damage. Meepo will come in. Zyori getting chased down as Fly joins the party. He'll rendezvous with his teammates and perhaps make it out. Wisp trying to buy him some space. He does have a salve. It gets ticked off by the Maledict, but he does live through it. Oh, or did I speak too soon? Long-range fissure. Lina now joining the party. That's a Light Strike Array Laguna Blade to bring down the Meepo. They've lost their Skywrath, but it's a 1 for 2. They get 2 of the cores on Meepwn'd in exchange for just one of their supports. What a trade here for Virtus.Pro Classic.
Definitely all over the place. I love the rotation work. All led in from Virtus.Pro. They were able to get the prized exist target in the mid lane, and then seemed to go back the other way. We had rotations as Weehaw got involved in the mid lane, got the nice little easy pick on the Skywrath Mage, but then they got a bit excited. They moved on forward, thought they had something going for themselves, a quick pick on the Spirit Breaker, but then Lina shows up and she's, well, level 7. So she pops out the heavy burst and is able to quickly get return fire onto the Meepo itself.
So Yapzor will head down to the bottom lane now, it looks like. Fly closing in on his level 6, about halfway through 5, still has a lot of stacks to work with in the jungle. Now the Meepo starting to join the stack party. That is one thing the Star team has done very well, is just maximize efficiency in the jungle. It seems like they always have at least one hero, if not 2, on stack duty, and making sure these creeps don't go to waste. But I think they need that Tide level 6 before they can really think about getting too aggressive. Meepo level 7, power treads, point booster moving into that fast ags. Of course, Weehaw still needs a little bit of time to come online. Ooh, now down bottom. Again, it's Yol getting aggressive with this Skywrath Mage. Finds the pickoff on the Witch Doctor. Now exists coming in to find a trade, but not going to move to the high ground into the enemy jungle, and it'll be Yol now 4-1-0. Finding kills all over the place, Dakota.
Yeah, Yol plays a very aggressive Skywrath Mage, or at least a very proactive one. That's a Skywrath Mage that I certainly like, and he's been all over the place because he certainly hasn't needed to be bottom. The lane was obviously abandoned a long time ago. BZZ's able to get what he wants in the lane, so Skywrath Mage just will be able to do better work elsewhere. With that move speed, he's able to get across the map, or at least from lane to lane, very easy. But they also got to be aware that this Tidehunter's got to be either farming the jungle or the Ancients, which right now he has 3 stacks built up at this Ancient camp already. So I'm curious to see if they're looking to contest. They have the ward there.
Yeah.
And the second he goes for it, they could quickly rain on his parade.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. Of course, they're not privy to that ward placement, but Virtus.Pro Classic a step ahead. They know it's something the Tide will rely on. He will burn a defensive Ravage as they dive the tower. Some TPs coming in. Hani is nearby. There is a Laguna Blade available. And it looks like BZZ just trying to get in a more defensive position. The Skywrath Mage, Yol doing a lot of damage. Lina maybe wishing that she didn't make her exodus so early, but incomes exist. He'll go scooting through. Fly just barely lives on about 75 hit points. Meanwhile, BZZ, Laguna Blade onto the Meepo. That's what I'm talking about, Dakota. Just brings him down, and nothing the Meepo can do about it. They did lose another hero in the top lane. Looks like Skywrath Mage got picked off by Relocate at the top as that was breaking out. So a 1 for 2, all things considered. Again, trading that Skywrath Mage for something a little more favorable.
I mean, this is a Meepo being brought down from Alina, who doesn't have a level 2 ult yet, and Meepo has a point booster, power treads, and an ogre club. This is a tanky Meepo who still got bursted down. So he's got to invest a little bit more of that me time, get the Agnums together, hope that he has enough of that girth, so that way he's not going to get bursted so easily, but it just goes to show that it could potentially be a long game even just for the Meepo.
Lena's in some trouble now. Exists. Solly was weak and just walks down to the bottom lane, finds an easy pick, and will just waddle his way right back to farming. Finally, BZZ gets shut down a little bit. Does feel like a little bit of an uphill battle for the Meepo, though. Now gets the Ogre Club, so continuing to tank up, but Lina getting all that solo farm more than halfway to level 10 through 9, so we'll have that level 2 Laguna Blade pretty soon, and I reckon an Aghanim Scepter will come out at some point this game.
They see him. Hey, nice stack you got going there, buddy. Mystic Flare up your ass. See at ya. Huh? See you later. Now that's my stack. Now, oh god, that is not good for Fly. But here we go. Exist shows up, says you're not going to get away with this, but he's able to tether over to Tiny. The burst is going to be there, and Hani gets annihilated. Now it's Zyori who comes in. Maledict's going to be dropped. It doesn't seem to quite connect, however, so G is going to get the hell out of there. Here comes BZZ, so Meepo might not want to overcommit for this one, even though the Laguna's it's actually back up.
Hani bought back for this too.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a lot of gold lost. You got the side income from the Ancient stack. They brought down the Tidehunter, preventing him even further from getting a decently timed Blink Dagger. And they get the kill on the Honey, and they force him to buy back. That is huge for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. This early ward right here, again, a great read, knowing that the Tidehunter will struggle in lane, and he'll have to retreat to these stacks. Just knowing their opponents very well. Now, the buyback for Hani, not really that big of a deal. Not that costly at these low levels. He's only level 5, so didn't cost him too much, but still does hurt that bottom line a little bit. And as an Earthshaker, every penny counts towards that Blink Dagger, which really turns you into a much scarier beast. Jotum already level 8 on the Wisp, now bottles up a Bounty Rune, and also has an Urn of Shadows completed. How's Tiny's farm looking? Power Treads, Drum of Endurance, and well on his way to the Aghanims, Point Booster, and Ogre Club already in tow. So Tiny's farm really looking impressive. Still about 1,000 up on the Meepo. So once he hits that farming tool, I reckon that farm will continue to accelerate.
It must be tough times or something. They know that there has to be a ward in this ancient area. There's no way they just all of a sudden show up. It was smart Virtus.Pro. They smoked before they went in there to engage, otherwise they would have been spotted along the way. But they're not going to go for any sort of sentry and D-ward. They're just going to have Hani be nearby, soak up the side available XP, and just in case they are to engage, which I believe they even see him. No, they don't see the Earthshaker, but he'll be there just in case.
Yeah. Smart positioning from Hani, assuming there might be a ward up on that location, knows it doesn't have vision into that area. So maybe trying to set a trap, but they have their sight set on something a little bit bigger. Meepo, uh-oh, that's a Light Strike Array. That'll connect. Plenty of burst damage to bring him down again. Mystic Flare in tandem with the Laguna Blade. There's just nothing that Weehaw can do about it.
So now 2 and 3 on his Meepo. Obviously, a very talented Meepo player, knows how to be able to find the farm across the map. But it's not going to be easy. Virtus.Pro, they've done a great job playing these aggressive wards down. We saw the one that already worked out very nicely for him by the Meepwn'd Ancient stack, but now they have one in the jungle as well. So when Meepo's like, okay, I got brought down. I'm going to go back for the farm. Meanwhile, top lane, though, they're trying to get quick burst. Oh, they can't quite finish off Yol there. Skywrath Mage able to slip away barely with his life. But yeah, these aggressive wards from Virtus.Pro is going to set up a lot of opportunities for some good picks in this mid-game.
Damn, double null tally on this Skywrath Mage. That's definitely what kept him alive right there. If he was a little more broke, maybe hadn't found all these kills, he would not have survived that onslaught from the Ember Spirit. Jotum and G still just hanging out in the mid lane, closing in on that Aghanims. Now about 800 gold to go for the Tiny, and Meepo in a similar state, about 600 gold off. So it looks like these timings will be pretty close, though Tiny is a full Drum of Endurance ahead. So now that net worth graph looking a little more scary for the dire side. We'll take a look at the overall net worth graph, and oh yeah, baby, that's about a 7,500 net worth lead and experience for Virtus.Pro. They are in great shape. Sadoy's been fairly quiet this game, 0-2 and 2, set up a couple of kills, but almost level 11, 1,100 gold. Curious what he's going to move into. Usually you'll see Spirit Breakers be a little more active and try and create some space, but frankly, they haven't needed it. This Lena's been creating quite a bit of space by just smoking around and picking on the Meepo, and, well, speak of the devil, Dakota, top lane, he's smoked up with the Skywrath Mage once more.
They've had brief glimpses of Fly here, so by deduction, Watermelon, I see ya. They move forward. There's going to be Yule's easy setup for the stun. Ancient Seal, see you later, buddy. So that is a Blink Dagger going to be prolonged that much longer. And just maybe part of the problem with these Tidehunters nowadays. You play a hero so much, you see it in the meta so long, you kind of just get the idea of what the hell he needs to do, what he wants to do. And maybe at that point it becomes a bit predictable. And Virtus.Pro kind of get one step ahead, and they just keep bringing him down over and over again. And this is one of the big comebacks for Meepwn'd's team, is having a Blink Dagger Tide to set everything up.
Absolutely, and this Meepo has just been shut down at every turn. The Lena Skywrath roaming duo is particularly potent. Huge burst damage once you get a Yule's, very easy to set up. Down in the bottom lane, Sadoy will get initiated on by Exist, but he does have support nearby. Relocate coming on down. Can they find the kills? They'll lose the Wisp as well as the Spirit Breaker. Huge dunk from Hani. And a long Death Ward as well will make this a victorious fight for Meepwn'd. Now 8-11 as they take a 2-0. Great fight for them. They're not done yet. Weehaw wants to dive this tower. He's going to wrap around. He finds Yol. Gets silenced straight away, but will continue to chase him down. Poof, poof, poof. That secures the kill. BZZ hiding in the tree line. There are 5 heroes about to light a fire up under his ass. He goes in onto Hani. Not enough mana for the Laguna. Hani does not live, but they still get the kill on Lena. Now it's a 1 for 4. With all the Meepos here, they will transition into a tower push.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Lina and Skywrath Mage hung around, even seeing the numbers that Meepo had in this bottom lane after the engagement initially broke out. And the first time we're going to see Meepwn come out on top. They get their tower, they get a couple of sweet kills. Hani coming out from the dark lane, and a very nice Fissure plus Echo Slam combo. Part of the reason why Earthshaker's so good against this clustered kind of a team that Virtus.Pro could have. And, well, it pays off for them. So that is the first boost they certainly did need. It's not the biggest bounty, but it was definitely a pretty big net worth advantage for Virtus.Pro up to that point.
Yep, G now level 12 on the Tiny. He just cleared out a big old stack of Ancients with that double damage. And, of course, he was the lone survivor in that last fight, so that gave him a little bit of space to pick up his Aghanim Scepter. He did make it out. And clearing out those Ancients, he's still huge in terms of net worth. And they're at that point where they can't really afford just to ignore this Tiny. Taking a 4-for-1 trade while Tiny farms is okay, but much less than that. And I don't know that it's worth it. Meepo's still going to have trouble dealing with this mountain giant.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. They're both going to be crazy as far as the farm potential goes. Eventually, Meepo's going to really go off the rails. I haven't watched a whole lot of Wii Meepo as of recent. I'm curious to see if he favors getting mobility next, like a Blink Dagger or something at this point.
I would guess
Certainly
so.
could help. But yeah.
The Blink Dagger is just so core to give you that initiation. Jump in from long range, do that big burst damage. BZZ finds a setup onto Witch Doctor, blinks away, relocate, coming in. Here we go. The Whopping Willow is here. Weeha takes a Laguna Blade. They find the kill on that one, but Jotum gets isolated and brought down. Now the Death Lord pushing back the Tiny, and Maledict may be enough to bring him down. It will. 400 damage on that last tick. They trade 1 for 2, Tiny and Wisp for just the Wisp. I think Virtus.Pro not really anticipating that Meepwn'd had their entire team grouped up in the jungle right there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was timed out to finish out the bottom tier 1 tower, and then they felt they could make a play happen. Maybe they didn't see the whole Meepo crew was going to be there. They were able to take down the prized Meepo, but they lose a lot more out of it. Maybe if Sadoy sent out the charge sooner was to get there as they were going to relocate in, but maybe a bit of the case of eyes too big for your stomach.
Sadoy has been so quiet this game, and it's just not a style of Spirit Breaker we're really used to seeing. Now he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Weeha poofing on down, keeping him trapped in the net. And Sadoy trying to get off the charge, but he just can't do it. Easy kill for Weeha as Spirit Breaker goes down.
Yep. Something I would never be able to do with the hero, that's for sure. My nets would be flying all over the frickin' place. Spirit Breaker would be charged out of there, but he's got the lockdown factor. Any sort of one-on-one matchup, Meepo should be okay at this point. I mean, we even saw earlier top lane with the Laguna coming out, it was not enough, but part of the reason what makes it so good in this kind of competitive play and not so good in pubs where Meepo kind of takes control is when you have a team that you can coordinate and communicate with so well, you can just easily focus fire one of the Meepos and put that message across your team and get the job done. But Meepo has his own job to do. He moves in the Roach Pit. It looks like Meepo want to get a hold of the Aegis sooner than later.
Yeah, and I think they will. Looking at the Virtus.Pro vision, they've got a little bit of intel, but they're just not really in the vicinity. They need to make movements very soon if they want to secure this Roach for themselves, or interrupt it from Meepwn'd at least. Meepo doing a lot of damage here. Doesn't even need minus armor to bring down Roach. Those little shovels hit harder than you'd think. They'll go on to exist, but he's okay. He's got the flame guard to keep him alive. Roach goes down. G still alive for now. Death Ward, though, from the back doing a lot of damage. They end up getting the kill on the Ember Spirit. They end his dominating streak. So there is a victory found, but not the victory they were hoping for in that of the Aegis. Now they'll have to kill this Meepo twice in the next go-around.
Not an easy task, certainly not. One of the best heroes to have something like an Aegis on. So, Virtus.Pro walk away with that. They'll build up their farm, and well, they still have a couple of towers to get up there. Tier 1 in the top lane still stands for them. They're actually heading that way right now. Along the way, they'll find a nice little illusion there. So being able to scout out on the side certainly helps, but I'm curious if Meepwn'd are going to look to converge and put up a solid team fight defense here. They do not have Ravage now, but the Echo Slam is up and at the ready. But Virtus.Pro, I don't think you're going to be stopping them from finishing off what they want here up here.
Yeah. Lina forgoing the Blink Dagger for now, but closing in on an Aghanim Scepter of her own to deal with these incoming BKBs, and also, of course, just up the damage that much more. Take that Laguna Blade to the Pure. It's good. 1,500 gold till she has it upgraded. G, he's now moved into a Yasha with 2,300 to boot. Could be a fast Manta, could be just a farming tool. Assault Karas, I think, will be in his future. We'll see how near it actually is. Yep, there's the ultimate orbs. Looks like Manta will just be the natural transition. Blink Dagger also up on the Meepo, as you were mentioning. So now having some more burst, some more mobility. Exist gets charged by Sidoi, stunned from the high ground. Nether Strike and Laguna. Relocate will be a little bit late. They'll find the Meepo, but are they going to be able to get much out of this? Only 5 seconds till they relocate back. Maybe it's enough time. Meepo in some trouble. That'll be the end of the Aegis. Does the Wisp take the Tiny back? No. Breaks the tether. Now G will get left behind. 4 heroes in this bottom lane as they start to back off.
I guess a good relocate, a good hit to just remove the Aegis early and put it on their terms, as opposed when Meepo want to invest and use it and try to push forward and take more objectives, which they've only taken 1. There's still a tier 1 in the mid and top lane on the side of Virtus.Pro. A lot of gold out there for the taking here, but Meepo prioritizing maybe a bit more itemization before they look to push themselves across the river for now. After Fly was able to get his Blink Dagger, he is not hesitating. He already has the staff, probably going straight for the 4 staff, really favoring the mobility in this one. So you're putting a lot of emphasis behind just getting off that perfect kind of Ravage in this kind of a game. You better make sure you have enough of that, you know, oomph to finish things up on the follow-through.
Yeah, a few big items on the horizon for our Dire team. YapzOr closing in on his Aghanim Scepter, about 700 gold off for the Witch Doctor, but there's that Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker. Hani finally getting that baseline of farm. 23 minutes in, he is ready to fight and make those big echoes happen. Even without the Blink Dagger, he's had a very noticeable impact this game, and excited to see what he can do now that he has a mobility tool. G continuing to farm out Ancients, and Meepo's usually that turbo farmer that you just can't catch up to in the mid game, but Tiny consistently staying 2-3k net worth ahead of him and not letting up anytime soon.
I mean, if there is a hero, it is a Tiny. I mean, the guy freaking clears those things like it's absolutely ridiculous, and why do you even bother trying to contest this kind of a guy? But here's a smoke coming out from Meepwn here. They're going to scavenge through their own territory to see if they can catch anyone out. There is a Tiny illusion on the way, but they're heading the low road here. So, very cautious setup right now from Virtus.Pro. They have everyone waiting by the towers. They know that something's up. Something is fishy right now. But they could still get caught here. Meepo literally coming from behind in tier 1.
They need to be careful. YapzOr and Exist are revealed. If there was a ward up on the high ground here, the jig would be up. This is very risky from the Dire team. And they're not going to find the opening they're looking for. Look at his positioning from Yol. He might break the other smokes as they walk by. Looks like they'll expire anyhow. Yeah, not working out for Meepwn'd on that one.
That's just a testament to Virtus.Pro with what kind of wards they've been putting down this game. They're very close, but they're very aggressive. And unfortunately, it slipped my mind where they even popped the smoke, but there's a chance they probably just saw it. They see the smoke, and they just hang by the towers and wait. And I'm pretty sure they have. They've been waiting by these towers for like a full minute. And that is wasted time. You feel like initially from Virtus.Pro just kind of hiding, but Meepwn are all together, moving around the map. They're not getting anything done either. So now that they see them come back into the ward view, they know that the jig is up, and Virtus.Pro can go back to their casual resume of farm.
Okay, so looking at the overall net worth graph, about 7,500 net worth, still the lead for Virtus.Pro, but 5,000 XP also in their favor. Meepwn'd, they're eager for a fight. This is that mid-game when they want to fight around this Ravage. They've got that new Blink Dagger, all the ultimates. They are eager to fight, and Virtus.Pro, as you mentioned, are doing a good job just splitting about the map, not giving them any real opportunities to use those big team fight abilities, and just staying spread out but tightening up when need be. Finding a lot of farm. They're in control of this game right now, Dakota, and I'm not sure how Meepwn'd get control back. They've already tried a smoke that backfired. We'll see what they do next, but right now they are not farming all that efficiently as they're all just kind of huddled up in the mid lane.
It's never good if you don't have map control and you got a Meepo on your team. He needs to be able to spread and take up the farm in the same way like a Naga does. And if you don't have a lot of farm out there to grab, you're prioritizing a lot of it on your Meepo and not a lot or any at all on the rest of your, Meepwn'd squad. So they need to do their best to try to take control of this map back. Top tower was threatened a lot here. It's actually going to be taken down to deny range. Hani should be able to drop it here and will do so. So more gold taken away from Virtus.Pro, but they're just happy, like I said, to just have control of the map. Taking down that tier 2 tower makes the jungle area for Meepwn a little less safe without having something for their allies to really TP to. They still fortunately have the tier 2 in the mid lane and bottom, but every tower that gets taken down that Virtus.Pro gets a hold of is less and less of an area to be comfortable and farm in.
Yeah, G has been working the Ancients very well. It seems like every time I see him at this part of the map, there's at least a double stack, if not a triple at the Ancient camp. Dire were utilizing it earlier, but it seemed like once the Fly was able to pick up his Blink Dagger, they kind of abandoned the risk associated with clearing out their Ancients after he was punished that first time. There's your Aghanims on the Witch Doctor as the arsenal of weaponry continues to grow for the Dire team. It may come down to next Roche, Dakota. It's about a minute and a half on the initial timer, and I think it's going to be a fast Roche. I think I saw it pop up a couple minutes ago, and should only be about a minute past into the RNG area. There's your big item on the Space Cow, though. Spirit Breaker spent a lot of time farming this game, and he gets BKB. Now charges out, and he will charge exist. Probably just using that taxi service for now, unless he ends up isolating himself. We'll see what Zyori can do with the BKB. Still only 0, 4, and 3. Really has not been involved in too many of these kills. Uh-oh, he needs to be careful. Hani gets knocked out of the way, but Zyori caught by the Searing Chains. First charge of the BKB. TP's home. But
top lane.
Little space creation. Okay.
Tiny's like, cool base you got here. I'm sure you want to engage and you're going to get the kill on BZZ, but we're going to continue to try to find objectives elsewhere. I think that all started. Zyori felt comfortable with his new BKB that he can get a party started here, but hold that thought for a moment. They're trying to make a go into Yol. Oh, the creep is like, nope, sorry, you're not going anywhere. Takes him down. You know, fortunately for him, it's not a kill handed over to the Meepo, but he does lose his life regardless. But anyways, Zyori with his new BKB, probably trying to get a fight going. And I mean, it is a tiny wisp after all. They're going to be together somewhere. They're able to relocate in and be a part of the party, but that was just a bit too unexpected. And you could tell that Virtus.Pro are ready to go on the offense. I mean, if it wasn't a dead giveaway with Space Cow doing something like that, it's also the BKB that's been picked up on G. Now they don't really have to worry about too much with the Earthshaker and with the Tidehunter, given they're not caught by surprise. This is their time now with their extra bit of defensive tools that have been picked up to, you know, really take it to the next level. And we're already seeing Tiny now creep into the high ground and keep pressure there, where Meepo, they're now not going to feel too good going across the river. But hey, bottom lane, very close to be able to grab Zyori, but Hani's not quite there in time to get the stun.
Yeah, to set that up, Hani actually used his Echo Slam to try and lock him in place a little bit longer. Hani's also hasted up, really eager to find that kill, but the cast point on the totem just a bit too long. And Spirit Breaker too elusive. They got him low, but he charged away and made it out to safety. So getting 2 kills from Meepwn'd, yeah, pretty well worth it. If it was just that 10-second BKB charge for half damage on the tier 3 tower top, I'd say that's a pretty decent trade. At least Zyori's making some space, but since they lost a few heroes to make that happen, rather unfortunate. Still, this Tiny's net worth, though. Now 17.5k compared to the 11.5 of Meepo. The gap just continues to grow. Weehaw with now just an ultimate orb, continuing to tank up a bit, but really not that scary.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need a lot more. Trying to invest that time to build up the farm. This isn't like your kind of pub-style game when you play a Meepo and you're like, team, just let me take the farm. I'll take you into the promised land with the victory. You know, you got to make sure in these kind of games that everyone has a fair balance. I mean, maybe not a fair balance, but everyone can find their way to just at least get the utility items they need to be able to engage here. Top lane, look at this. Simba in very nice position. They could make a flank here. A relocate defense could be necessary, but they are going to cross past. Weevil's going to scout him on out. Ravage will connect on both. They focus fire the Tiny. Jarm's trying to get the relocate. Can he save his buddy? He does not because the BKB. But it was a BKB that allowed him to escape. Death Ward was even committed there at the end, unfortunately, for the Witch Doctor. But regardless, they take no one at the expense of that Ravage and that Death Ward and the rotation.
Now in the mid, Zyori finds Hani, starts giving him the Lantern. And Hani takes the high ground. We'll be okay for now. The Ember Spirit did complete his Battle Fury. Back towards the top lane. Jottam. Yeah, he's in a little bit of trouble. Tries to TP out. Caught by the Ensnare. Caught by the Coconut. They will get a freebie onto Jottam. Back towards...
It actually seemed like they almost forgot that Jottam was coming back, but he did show himself. Uh-oh. Oh, Yol gets cut. Very wounded here, but wants to be there for the party. And there's going to be the Laguna, even the Skywrath Mage Joel getting involved. But here we go. Here comes Meepo, but he gets stunned instantly. And here comes the right click. He just gets annihilated. There was a Meepo there? I don't think so. I don't think so. He is dead now. Oh, nice Fisher from the high ground. He's going to finish off the Skywrath Mage. Hani gets the catch on that one.
Okay, so they get a little pick-me-up at the end there, but boy, that Meepo, he came into that fight thinking he was going to do some damage, and you were nervous about the AoE damage from Virtus.Pro this game, Dakota, and, well, it seems to me that they've got plenty of it now between Tiny with his huge stun, that branch that's cleaving around all the Meepos, then Lena to follow up. I mean, I don't think there's much more Weehaw could have done there. Maybe tried to spread out his Meepos a little bit, but he just died in a matter of seconds. Now they find Yapzor up top. He gets scattered out by Sadoy. BZZ sets it up, and another easy pick for Virtus.Pro. Now 18-17. It may be close in hero kills, but it's Virtus.Pro in control of this game with a huge net worth and experience lead.
Definitely makes you think back a little bit to the draft. I mean, Virtus.Pro did open up with this Wisp. It was, and if you're not going to be banning out the Tiny, you know that there's the chance it's going to be popping up at some point. They preserved it for their last pick, and I believe it came after the Meepo. So they should have been expecting that it's going to be a Meepo kind of Tiny matchup. Not one we see very often, obviously, in pro play, but it's very apparent that Tiny, well, could have the antidote to this little pesky Meepo problem.
Yeah, I believe it was a 9th pick Meepo and a 10th pick Tiny, if memory serves. So now Tiny working on the Assault Karas, not that far away, just a couple hundred gold, and he'll be at the recipe. Weehaw still not finding much item progression. Fly, samesies, just sitting on mobility tools. Yapzor picked up that Aghanim Scepter, but hasn't really been able to find that big team fight to get those bouncing Death Ward nukes moving around, doing huge damage. Exist really needs to find some recovery farm himself. You want your Ember Spirit to be that kind of glass cannony hero that gets some momentum, snowballs into the mid game, and here he's getting farmed by the Virtus.Pro offlaner. Of course, is that Spirit Breaker. They're about on even turf, right next to the Tide. So that seems to be the big weak point for the Dire team right now, is having this Ember Spirit that doesn't really hit all that hard.
Yeah, they definitely need to really boost up their damage potential. If Meepo is not going to come really into the limelight that they were expecting, they have to have Ember be their number 2 and have the backup at the ready. They have plenty of magical burst and air spread. Hold on, though. Bottom lane, Sadoy. He's hungry. He's making the move on the fly, not letting up quite yet, but there he will step back and away.
Yeah. Keeps that invisibility
so he's fine.
Yeah. Just charges him, and he'll be all right for now. G up top finds a Meepo.
Oh my goodness.
That's an easy little pick. Meanwhile, Radiant Secret Shop, they find Sadoy. He BKBs. Concussive hits Yapzor. He's going to get Nether struck. Lena nearby as well. Hits him with a Light Strike Array. They will bring down the Witch Doctor. Now they're playing forward from BZZ. What can they do? But yeah, meanwhile up top, it's G going ham on this top lane of Barracks. Meepo buys back. But can they actually punish this? Looks like they will find Jotum. Misses the Avalanche, but there's a double damage rune on Tiny. This is not a guy you want to square up against. Now it's a dieback from the Meepo. G still alive, going in hard. There's your Ravage, but there's just no follow-up. Okay, there's one Sleight of Fist, but it doesn't do a hell of a lot. Hani comes in on the backside, trying to isolate Sadoy. That won't happen. It keeps, well, it does not keep Exist alive. Secures the kill, and this is turning into a disaster for our Dire team. They lose that top lane of Barracks. Mid will be safe as there's a tier 2, but G goes straight to the bottom, pops his Manta, and now this bottom tier 3 under heavy assault. Whoa, it's a buyback from the Ember Spirit now. That'll push back G. Can they actually find a kill? He's got the combo. Out comes the Avalanche. Searing Chains, now a BKB utilized. And Tiny will just walk back to safety. Happy with a top lane of Barracks and a successful team fight.
Oh. Okay, bit more trade right there, but it is going to create the space for Virtus.Pro to get the hell out. My God, with that DD, it only took like 8 swings total to finish off the tier 3 plus both racks. It was just boom, boom, tier 3 done, boom, boom, racks, and it's over.
Yeah.
He was able to preserve that DD that he grabbed just earlier, speaking of which, there's another one on the top of the river if he wants to kind of do a bit of a rinse and repeat. And it was just devastating. The rest of Virtus.Pro were happy to engage near the secret shop if it allowed giving that space to just get the job done, and it didn't take a lot of effort. Meepwn'd got caught not once but twice from just the wrath of that Tiny, and oh my goodness. Now Meepwn'd down. This is going to be a secondary potential defense coming in soon, but this time they don't have the Ravage, they don't have the Echo, they don't have the buyback. They lose this fight, they could be losing game number 1.
Yeah, there were 3 buybacks used that fight, 1 on the Radiant. Wisp did actually buy back to get into it at the tail end. Ooh, Fly getting initiated on by his Ancients. BZZ's there, drops the Laguna and brings down the Watermelon. Another easy pick for the Radiant as they take out the last remaining outer tower on the Dire side of the map. That is the tier 2 mid. Now it's just the base in their sights. They will, however, make a pit stop into the Roche pit. And that should be an easy Aegis for Tiny. I don't think Meepwn'd are in a position to contest this one.
No, certainly not. Without ultimates, this is just them waiting, hoping that they can stall things out a bit, or hopefully that Virtus.Pro give them enough time to get those cooldowns back up and just hope for a solid high ground defense. All the while, Meepo being out there, split pushing, finding his own bit of farm to kind of hopefully have a new set of items, something else to bring to the table in the next potential defense.
Yes, sir. Sadoy, he moves into the Vladimir's offering. Now gets initiated on the mid lane. Hani goes in. A solo dunk. A Death Ward utilized 2 big ultimates that they might need to hold the high ground. BZZ with the BKB on, trying to do some damage to the Meepo. They will get a kill on the Witch Doctor, but now Yol stuck inside of the net. G coming in to save his friends. He's isolated a Meepo. He's trying to give him the branch. A toss up. Laguna Blade on another. The Meepos fall. They will have to trade their Skywrath Mage off to the side. It's a 3 for 2 in this cluster of a fight, but G is the one that's still alive with the big damage as he presses forward. BZZ finds Hani on the back line, and yep, that'll be another kill for him. So 3-3 trade. I guess pretty good for Meepwn'd, all things considered. But they lose their Meepo again, and Tiny is still alive with an Aegis. And 7,000 gold.
Hold them back. But yeah, he is freaking rich.
He's massive, dude. Look at this.
Yeah.
27k net worth. Next highest on the Dire is Meepo at just shy of 12k.
Yeah. He's 10k above his own teammate, BZZ. So it's out of control right now. So with that, he's able to do a slow siege game here. They do still have the Ravage up on Simba, but they don't have a Meepo, they don't have an Earthshaker. That Earthshaker doesn't have an Echo Slam, so their tier 3 goes down. No glyph. This is just stalling out in hopes that maybe they can get one more team fight in, but already charging away is Sadoy as he heads across the world, and, well, he stops early, actually.
Yeah, he'll just go back to farming for now. I mean, Virtus.Pro, they're in this beautiful position where there's not much pressure on them to break the high ground. They know they've got the farming advantage. Tiny will soon be capped out. What's the time left on this Aegis? Oh, still so much. It's only been 2 minutes. So they can sit back, farm for another minute, then still have plenty of time to try and siege the high ground and break the base. I mean, last time was pretty damn easy. Meepo just walked one of his little Meepos out to the low ground, and G was able to solo him down. So just one little misplay like that could end up costing this Dire team the game at this point. They are on their last leg, it feels.
And that leg is a peg leg, and they're hobbling through sand. So it's not easy. So at this point, here we go, a breach coming in from the south. Hani's going to be forced to fortify. They're sending out the fissure to try to slow them down, but they're going to turn the corner and come out through the mid instead, where the Rax is already exposed. And overcharged Tiny is not going to take a lot to boom and bang it down, but the glyph is going to be forced to be popped out. They need to defend this. If they lose, it's over for game 1. Maldek's going to catch him early. They need to do the damage. Ravage is going to be there. They need to try to burst him down. And the ward is adding a huge defense factor here from your Witch Doctor. Laguna Blade, though, is going to finish off the Meepo. Now, Sadoy, in the midst of the fight here, going to be brought down the back end. Oh, Witch Doctor barely able to sidestep that, but here we go. Echo on the return. They get Skywrath Mage. G, one of the big lone titans left, but that's your raid boss right there. And they can't do anything about it. Boom! He takes out the Rax and now has his eyes on the bottom lane. It was a strong defense from Meepwn'd, but they still got what they wanted. He takes it tier 3. He's like,
G,
that's cool,
look at
guys.
this guy.
Cool. I'm just gonna get these Rax. So let me just manage real quick. That Rax is mine. You want to fight now? Oh, you want to fight? Well, you know what? Get the hell out of here. Boom! And Exist is like, Jesus Christ, what can we do?
This is Tiny versus the world right now. Oh my god, they isolate him in Yules. Now a TP in from the Tide. He tosses him back, says, get out of my face, son. He will eventually go down, but G does so much damage before he falls. He forces a buyback on the Tide Hunter just by his lonesome, almost forces them into mega creeps. Only one melee rack still standing. Of course, VP Polar, Virtus.Pro get completely cleaned up. It's a huge net worth trade for Meepwn'd despite using 2 buybacks there. But that last leg, well, even more of a stub than it was, as I think at this point VP can just bum rush the barracks given that the glyph is down for another 3.5 minutes.
Suddenly 4.3k on Tidehunter at this point. It was like a 6,500 gold swing just for being able to get that 5-man wipe, but at what cost? I mean, I don't know how else to say it. 1 Rax alive in the base. It clearly took way too much effort to try to take down just the Tiny alone. It just shows potential in this game. A 30k net worth lead is a number we don't get to see very often at just not even 40 minutes into the game. It's very impressive stuff, and I can assure you that Meepwn'd will consider banning the Wisp in the first phase for game number 2.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably a good idea. Now, last fight, Sadoy, it felt like he didn't get much done, but he did interrupt the Death Ward. He charged deep to focus down the Witch Doctor. Another one of these fights, if he could live a little bit longer, that would certainly be advantageous for Virtus.Pro. Having that bash is pretty important in these team fights. Are there any BKBs out? No BKBs on the Dire side. Although Ember Spirit, he got a lot out of that last fight as well. Now he picks up a Daedalus to go with his Battle Fury, so his high ground defense becoming a little more potent. Though, unfortunately for him, he could have used it in that last fight before their mid lane of barracks went down.
Yeah, just a little bit of that too little too late kind of a thing for Meepo, unfortunately. And at this point, they're just hoping that maybe they could use all their big ultimates, their big defense to get another big fight. I mean, do they have enough to stop them? It's one Rax, and a Manta illusion from Tiny might be able to get the job done. Like, it's just at that point that maybe they're just holding on, getting ready to put their minds into game number 2, battling and hoping that maybe they can fatigue out Virtus.Pro for game number 1. Regardless, it would take one hell of a defense right here to not get them to take down the Rax and get more gold to just try to bring the game back.
I think the only way that they could hold this off is if Virtus.Pro just run in with all 5 heroes. They hit a 5-hero Ravage, a 5-hero Slight on top of that, and then the Death Ward, maybe an Echo Slam. If they hit like the perfect combo, they can fend this off, but they don't have a Glyph. That's the really scary part. And Tiny can just run in. These Manta Illusions, they're going to soften it up a little bit. And now he'll just move on in. BKB still being held. Hani goes in, uses his ultimate very early. The Death Ward doing a good bit. The Ravage flying through. Tiny, he's trying to tank the Death Ward, but it might not work out for him. Meepo goes down, so does the Tiny. It's a 2-for-2 right out of the gate. And now BZZ on the retreat just barely blinks back to safety. Sadoy will be overcharged and head back. Now a buyback from Tiny. BOT's in. He's got a Daedalus now. He's ready to continue on, knowing that they don't have buybacks on either Meepo or the Earthshaker. Well, Earthshaker they know about. Meepo actually just short gold, but now the barracks will 100% fall. No glyphs. Smart buyback usage there from G, and now our final fight starts. The Refresher Ravage comes out, will lock Sadoy in place. He may well fall. Down he goes, but G goes in, combo onto the Witch Doctor. Now the Tide, he'll get pushed back to the well, and Wisp Balls will finish him off. Now Exist, he's that last target. He goes down. The full 5-man wipe comes out. GG's are called, and it's Virtus.Pro that takes game number 1, 34-30 in 42 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid first-round defense there at the end, but pretty much Virtus.Pro had their own bootleg of an Aegis. They had enough funds in the pocket of Tiny where they could just simply do the Boots of Travel buyback. So even though they put out all they could, an Echo, a very long Death Ward to take down the Tiny, even with Tiny's last dying breath of his first life, he was able to take out 2. And then by the time he was able to buy back and get back into the fight, they didn't have much left to work with. So with that, they get the job done. Props to Virtus.Pro. They do a very nice Wisp Tiny game. They constantly keep Wii in check on his Meepo, and there's really not a whole lot they could do about it. It's going to come down to maybe a more solid draft setup for Meepo in game number 2, but hey, it is a best of 3. We'll see if they can take it to a game number 3.
Yeah. Meepwn'd had a pretty good draft. I think their strategy was pretty obvious. Where they fell short was Meepo just getting constantly pressured. I haven't really seen that core Lina plus Skywrath support roaming duo, but oh my gosh, is it potent, Dakota. We saw how much damage they can do, especially with that Ancient Seal to buff up all of Lina's already insane DPS. Beautifully done by VP. So we'll have a quick break, guys, then game 2 of this single limb best of 3 coming up next.